Hello everyone! Solstice and new moon blessings to you all. My name is Nixie Marie and I am your groovy Feng Shui guide this week to exploring all things Feng Shui and how to cultivate a high vibe home. This week we are going to be exploring and diving into the actual energies of what is happening, what is shifting in the stars, and how this can be utilized and applied within our homes so that we stay grounded, we are centered, and we are really working with the lunar energies that are currently at play. This new moon we have is the last new moon of 2022. So the seeds that we begin to plant for this season and this cycle is actually going to be setting the stage for 2023. So it is a really great time to begin by setting some space up for you to go within. The winter solstice is all about the light and illuminating the darkness and the shadows and going within to see deeper into the things that we often hide. Our homes can easily become the best mirror for what it is that we are perhaps avoiding, deflecting, maybe judging ourselves for, overly criticizing ourselves, making judgments to those that we are around, judgments to ourselves. And I'm going to teach you a little bit today on how we can look at our homes and what we can do to work with this winter solstice energy pertaining to the principles of Feng Shui. Now, because this new moon is actually sitting in Capricorn, this is the sign of hard work and determination. And really at the end of the day, Capricorn, I really feel is like one of the hardest working signs. It is the sign in which tells us that it's time to put our head down and get to work. Now, a lot of times during the holidays, we take time off, we take breaks, we take breathers. So perhaps you are feeling some of that overburdened, overstressed, that hustle, that overwork, and you really need to take that time to rest. Now we have this conflicting energy at play. So we've got this hardworking Capricorn energy, and we've also got the winter solstice, which is really this invitation to go inward, but also work really hard while we're doing that same thing. So how we balance this energy is by really paying attention to creating the daily rituals every single day, cultivating those daily rituals that are going to help serve not only our inner state, but also the physical, the exterior, our careers, our life path, our purpose, what we show up to do in every single day. It's really easy to fall off the routines, the rituals, the things that really are an invitation to come back to the center and to the soul. So even if it's a practice of going to your altar, lighting that candle, saying a prayer, writing those intentions, writing in your journal, whatever it is for you that you can really just devote yourself during these last few weeks of this year, especially right now during the potency of this solstice and new moon. This is going to really focus in and hone in on your intentions and what it is your arrow, where your arrow is pointing. We're still in Sag season, so really where your arrow is being pointed as we enter into this new year. Now, when we are looking at Feng Shui and our spaces, there's a quote that really comes to mind that I found to be really beneficial during this time. This is a quote by Khalil Gibran, and it says, "Your house is your larger body, and one house shall not be an anchor, but a mast." Now, as a sailor and lover of oceans and boats, and really learning the last couple years how to sail with the wind and the different parts of boats and how each and every element supports each other. Now, when we look at anchors, they are grounding and stabilizing, and they hold us down. They hold us in place. The boat does not move without, or it will move without an anchor, but when that anchor is set, that is supposed to root and ground us, right? Now, on a ship, a mast is generally what is going to support the sail, which is what leads us to our heading and our direction. So with that being said, your house gets to be where you're heading, where your direction is going in life. where do you want to go? And your house gets to be a mirror for that and be set up to support you in the direction in which you are heading. Now, for those of you that don't necessarily know what a solstice is, so when we look at the seasons and the shifts in the years, we look to the solstices. Now, we generally have 2 solstices a year. We have the summer solstice and the winter solstice. And in between that time, during the wheel of the year, we have the equinoxes. So the solstices mark a time when the sun is either reached its highest or its lowest point, where it circulates around with the earth. The winter solstice in particular has been celebrated across history so many years ago. We see the solstice really be honored in the Celtic traditions back in Ireland. And this is something that I've really always wanted to go actually be able to bear witness to and be a part of, because it's where the roots of the solstices actually came from, including the tradition that we celebrate today, Christmas. This actually originally stemmed from the time in which we celebrated the winter solstice. And today, now we celebrate it as Christmas. So this was a tradition that was taken by the shamans and the indigenous peoples of that time. And now it is rooted in something completely different. But however, that doesn't mean that we don't get to celebrate that time today. The solstice is a symbol of death and rebirth of the sun. It is a return of the light and also honoring the darkness. It reminds us, just like in Feng Shui, that we have a yin and a yang, and that is how we cultivate balance in our life. Just like all things, there's always a darkness, there's always a light, and we've got to learn how to really shine that light on the darkness. So this winter solstice allows us to go inward and see the areas in which that we need to rise up our shadows, rise up the parts of ourselves that often we really don't want to look to, the places in which we, hold shame, guilt, fear, judgment, anger, insecurities, all the things in which we often, want to put down and shy away from and really judge ourselves for. We really want to take that time to bring them up to the surface and shine light on them and love those parts of us no matter what. That is this balance, the yin and the yang, because we are never really ever going to be all light. We have the shadow that we must acknowledge and we must not ignore, because the deeper that we go into those parts of ourselves, the more that we love ourselves wholly and not just one piece of ourselves that maybe is all the good parts of us. So I really want to invite you into that space during this season and during this cycle so that you can really focus on those areas in which you can love yourself a little bit more. So during this winter solstice and new moon energy, which is starting on December 21st, which is today when you are going to watch this, or maybe you're watching this a couple of days late, that is totally fine. You can do any of these exercises from now and within the 72-hour period. Now, because we're closing out a new year, even if you can't get to it in the next 3 days, definitely implementing some of these tips throughout the rest of the year is going to help set your home up for the direction in which you're heading into 2023. So first and foremost, we really want to focus on our front door. Our front door is always the mouth of our home where the chi comes in. And I know you guys hear me maybe say this a lot, or maybe this is your first time here, but in Feng Shui, the front door is very symbolic when it comes to welcoming opportunities in. So first we want to clear our front door, clean it, sage it, sweep away old energy. I have a routine or ritual of doing this a couple times a week just to really cleanse out the old energy from either the day before, or maybe there's just some energy that I'm not vibing to and I want to tap into something new. So you can use your front door as a portal from the inner and the outside world, as it is a symbol in Feng Shui. Doors are really symbols of that portal to the inner and the outer world. So when we look to doors, we want to look at them as this opportunity, the opportunities that come into our life. So you can also write down your new moon intentions, really go inward, think about what you're really wanting to envision for yourself, your career, your love life, your family, your health, for the 2023 year and write them down on a piece of paper, and you can actually fold it up and put it underneath your welcome mat. And this is a little fun way to tell the universe, this is what I'm calling in, and the opportunities will come through that front door for you. And that is the symbolic nature of Feng Shui. All right, next thing that you can do inside of your space is to go into the dark parts of your home. I'm talking basements, attics, closets, dresser drawers, anything that often doesn't get the light. So perhaps it's, your closet that has all the clothes in it. You don't necessarily always have a lot of light going on in there because there's some dark corners that are often holding up all of that negative chi that we don't want. So the invitation here is to use our homes really as a guide. A lot of times we can look to our homes and the surface looks really clean, everything looks really tidy, but perhaps we open up drawers and they're full of clutter, full of chaos and disorganization. Now, this can easily happen and stack up from maybe having friends come over and we're just throwing things in our closets and throwing things in our drawers. I think we're all, guilty of that in some regard. But the invitation here is to take some time to really work through those spaces in your home that don't often get the love and care like the surfaces do. So the exercise here is to look at all the parts of your space that you often avoid or deflect. Now, this could also be a filing cabinet that you haven't looked at papers in years from, years ago. Take these next few, weeks of the year to really sort through old paperwork that's years old, dates old, that just doesn't really need to be holding up energy in your space anymore. This is a time to go get rid of all the old and invite in the new. And I always like to say with your space, you can't fill up a cup that's already overflowing, just like your home. If you are calling in new energy this new moon, you've also got to get rid of old energy to balance out the two and invite that, death and rebirth and yin and yang cycle into your space. And I'm telling you, once you start to go through these spaces, there's going to be some things in your personal life that are also going to come up. And that is the point, because we really want to use our environment as a tool to create our life as we desire. And also, there is an emotional attachment to all of our things. Everything that we have around us has our energy. It is created by our thoughts, by our emotions, and by our words that we say out into the space and out into the environment. It creates a certain frequency. So everything is affected by what we say. The next exercise or practice that you can do during this winter solstice is to create a sacred space or a container or an area in which you can do your inner work. I say this quite often, but I think that if we want something in our lives, we've got to create space for it. When we don't have a space to work out, a space to work, a space or, somewhere that we can sit down and devote ourselves to our spiritual day-to-day practices, it will often be a struggle to reach the goal that we desire to obtain with that particular thing that we are desiring to do in our lives. So the other component of this is we want it to feel good and feel supportive. So if you don't have the space currently and you need to just make that corner in your, living room or your bedroom or something that just will allow you to sit and go within and journal and reflect, this is a perfect time to have that sacred container. And if this is something you already have, then I really would like to invite you to shifting up the energies, getting a new candle, inviting something new into your sacred space so that you're bringing new energy in during this new moon. So just give your sacred space a little bit of a revamp. Give it some light, give it a cleaning, reorganize, whatever is on top of your altar or your sacred space, whatever that looks like for you. Now is a perfect time to clean and cleanse that. All right, so the last thing that you can practice in your home during this winter solstice is to invite the light in. Just like we are inviting the light within ourselves, we also want to focus on the lighting that's in our environment. Really good lighting can honestly make you fall in or out of love. And it is really important that we are surrounded by lighting that is really nourishing to our soul. Low lighting for the evenings and beautiful lighting that's going to help enhance our spaces during the daytime if we don't have a lot of that natural light coming in. So be mindful of what type of lighting you have. If you have bulbs that are out, definitely take some time to replace them, fix them, maybe adding a nice new lantern or lamp into your space or your workspace. This is going to help you invite more of the lighting in. Candles are also a great way to activate the fire element, which is going to be that yang element. So we're bringing in more of our masculine energy during this time to bring that warm, cozy energy and also ignite the fire to focus on our heading and what we're desiring for this next year. Now, lighting also is a big chi enhancer for our space. So I always think that, when you walk into a space and you're like, wow, the lighting is so good, just having, a lantern that has that dimmer, kind of that nice glow, playing with different colors like mood lighting, something that's really going to enhance the vibe of your space so that you feel that raising of the chi that's going in and around your home all over your space. Now, I liked also seeing different lighting, such as stuff that's on walls. This is also a really great time to clean your lights. Lights often accumulate a lot of dust. So giving them a little bit of a cleanse and dust-free environment is also going to really help illuminate your space. All right, I hope you guys had a fun time exploring ways that you can invite Feng Shui into your space during this winter solstice and new moon in Capricorn. Again, my name is Nixie Marie, and I am your Feng Shui groovy guide this week to create a high vibe home. If you are loving this content and want more Feng Shui, definitely like and subscribe to my channel and leave any questions or comments you have below in the chat box. Let me know what your thoughts are on all of this. If you have ideas on ways that you're going to implement some of the ways in which I suggested things for you to do during this season. And I want to also lastly invite you to my biggest, most grandest Feng Shui Masterclass for 2023. We are going into the year of the Yin Rabbit, and we are moving out of the Water Tiger. So we are going to need to discuss some things that are going to provide you with remedies, cures, set you up for success for your year ahead. I teach this class every single year just before the Lunar New Year, which this year takes place on January 22nd. So the class will be held on January 21st at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central Time, and 12 p.m. Eastern Time. You can learn more about all the juicy details down below in the description link. So I'd love to invite you there. Early registration doors do close on January 2nd, so please make sure to get in and save your spot. It is going to be so much fun. Lots of information to ultimately set you and your home up for the year ahead. Thank you guys so much for watching. I can't wait to see you next week. Bye.